11-2. We'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at number one, and number one's a little different because it just asks a basic question, but I think I used some of the information from that, and that kind of added a little to make it more like your number two, right? So it says, Hertz Pain Relievers bought a massage machine that provided a return of 8%. It was financed by debt costing 7%. That makes a lot of sense, right? If you can, anytime you can get a return like that that exceeds your cost of debt, you would probably want to do that if it's not too risky. Okay, in August 2010, Mr. Hertz came up with a heating compound that would have a return of 14%. The CFO told him it was impractical because it would require the issuance of common stock at a cost of 16% to finance the purchase. Is the company following a logical approach to using its cost of capital? I mean, just in basic, you would say, well, hell no. I mean, they bought something that had a return of 8%, and sure, they were able to finance that with debt, but why would you pass up something that cost or that has a return of 14%? When presumably you could have financed it maybe instead with the debt, right? We often have that option, and sometimes you don't, okay? But what you want to do then is calculate what your total cost of capital is, or what we call weighted average cost of capital. I think you'll see that as WACC sometimes. So what I did is I just put in, and your guys is similar then. So my cost of capital is, my debt is 7%, and my equity is 16%. Okay, and I put weights. These weren't given. Okay, and your guys is in number two. It is given what the weights are. I think yours are 50-50, but I just put some weights in there. If I had a typical business, I might have about 35% equity and about 65% debt, okay, on my capital side. So I put in the weights. Okay. Then to calculate it, it's just a relatively simple matter of saying, 65% of 7%. So this is equal to this times this one. Okay. And then it would be the same here. Okay. Then all I got to do is add those two together, right? Because I've put my weights in already, and so adding those together will give me my weighted average cost of capital. So I can do it this way, or I could do it as the sum, either one. And that gives me my weighted average cost of capital. So now if I can get a 14% return on something and my cost of capital is only 10.15%, after the purchase, let's say I did issue the stock, but still my weighted average cost of capital is that, then that would make a lot of sense. It may not have made sense then to purchase that machine that gave me an 8% return, going back and looking at that. So there you have 11.2.